You prepare for the interview for weeks. You rehearse answers, you pick the outfit, you set 3 alarms. Then the morning comes and you oversleep. Or you're about to confess feelings to someone you've wanted for months and suddenly, inexplicably, you pick a fight instead. Success is within reach. The promotion, the relationship, the breakthrough, and you torch it. You sabotage yourself. Why do intelligent people destroy what they want most? Why does the sabotage feel almost deliberate, like some part of you planned it? Why do you recognize the pattern but can't stop it from happening again? What part of you wants to fail? The standard answers are, you're just anxious, or bad luck, or fear of success. But those are labels, not explanations. They describe what happens, not why. The real answer is, stranger, you're not one mind. There's something in you with different goals, different priorities. It's been running your life from the shadows. The reason isn't weakness, it's architecture. Your mind has a saboteur built in, and it thinks it's protecting you. People say fear of success or low self-esteem. Wrong, or at least incomplete. Why would you fear success? That's circular reasoning. It just restates the puzzle. And fear doesn't explain the timing. Why always at the threshold? Why not earlier when the stakes were lower? Why does it feel automatic, involuntary, like watching yourself from outside? You consciously want success. You've worked toward it. So who's doing the sabotaging? Here's what Freud noticed. Freud was treating patients in Vienna, late 1800s, early 1900s, and he observed something peculiar. Patients would sabotage their own therapy. Right when a cure seemed close, they'd miss appointments. Or suddenly, they couldn't remember their dreams anymore. Dreams were crucial to his method. Or they'd pick a fight with Freud himself, storm out, refuse to continue. The pattern was unmistakable. Sabotage intensified near breakthrough. Woman about to leave an abusive marriage would suddenly remember the good times, question whether she should really go. A man close to a promotion would make an inexplicable error, something he'd never done before, something that cost him the opportunity. Not random mistakes, targeted destruction. The puzzle deepened. If the conscious mind wants healing, wants success, who's interfering? Something in them didn't want to get better. But wait, why would any part of you not want to heal? The simple answer? The problem is familiar. Change is scary. People prefer the devil they know, but that's still circular. Why is familiar safe? And it doesn't explain the intelligence of the sabotage. Self-sabotage is too precise, too well-timed. It knows exactly what you're afraid of achieving. You sabotage romantic intimacy specifically, not friendships. Or career success specifically, not hobbies. The saboteur has a target. Freud reframed it. This isn't random anxiety. It's not generalized. Fear. It's specific, strategic interference. The sabotage isn't malfunction. It's defense. But defending against what? Which brings us to the architecture problem. Freud's radical claim, you're not one unified consciousness. You're 3 systems with different goals, competing agendas. The unconscious, what he called the id, is a repository of desires you can't consciously accept. Not just sexual, though that's what everyone remembers. Any forbidden wish. The wish to fail, to escape responsibility. The wish to punish yourself for unresolved guilt. The wish to stay dependent, to avoid adult burdens. It's operating 24 hours a day. You're unaware. Then there's the conscious mind, the ego, what you think of as you. It makes plans, sets goals, wants success. But here's the problem. It's actually the weaker force. The unconscious is older, faster, stronger, and then there's the superego, internalized rules, parental voices, moral prohibitions, often unrealistic, often punishing, and it sometimes allies with the unconscious against the ego. Consider a clinical example. A patient wants a promotion. That's the ego speaking. But the unconscious holds a different belief. My father never succeeded. If I surpass him, I'm betraying him. I shouldn't succeed. And the superego adds, success means abandoning your struggling family. You'd be selfish. Sabotage emerges as the compromise between these systems. You experience this as, I don't know what came over me, because literally a different system took control. Okay, but how does unconscious sabotage happen mechanically? It's not mystical. Freud catalogued specific, observable psychological mechanisms. First, parapraxis. Freudian slips. You accidentally send the email to the wrong person. You forget the important meeting. These aren't random errors, they're unconscious breakthroughs. I meant to say one thing. Something else came out. The slip reveals the hidden wish. Second, reaction formation. You express the opposite of the forbidden wish. You want intimacy, so you pick fights to create distance. You want to relax, so you become a workaholic. The overcompensation disguises the underlying desire. Third, displacement. You redirect the impulse to a safer target. You're angry at your boss, but you can't express it directly, so you sabotage your own project instead. You can't punish the parents, so you punish yourself. Freud documented these mechanisms in Psychopathology of Everyday Life, published in 1901. Thousands of examples from patients and daily life. This wasn't theory, it was observation. You can test this yourself. Next time you forget something important, ask, what would remembering have forced me to face? Usually there's an answer. Well, not always a conscious answer. That's the point. The unconscious knows. You don't. Here's what should collapse your reality. The saboteur thinks it's helping. It's not malicious. It's protective, a primitive defense system. The logic goes like this. Success equals visibility equals vulnerability. Achievement equals new expectations equals pressure you might not handle. Intimacy equals exposure equals possible abandonment. Failure equals staying small equals staying safe. Consider this case. A woman sabotaged every romantic relationship at exactly the 3-month mark. Every single one. She'd find reasons, pick fights, withdraw emotionally. In therapy, investigation revealed her father left the family when she was 3 months old. The unconscious had formed a conclusion. Relationships end catastrophically at 3 months. If I end it first, I control the abandonment. I'm not the victim. She had no conscious awareness of this connection until therapy brought it to light. The mechanism. The unconscious formed a conclusion in childhood based on limited data. Success leads to catastrophic loss. Intimacy leads to abandonment. That conclusion remains active even when circumstances change completely. You're an adult now, different relationships, different contexts, but the unconscious is timeless. It doesn't know you're an adult, it's still operating on childhood data, running that old program. Better safe than sorry at maximum volume. The tragedy. Protection has become prison. You're defending against dangers that no longer exist, or defending against an imagined catastrophe that's worse than reality would ever be. Which raises the question, if this is unconscious, how did Freud even discover it? How do you study something the person isn't aware of? Freud's key insight: listen to the mistakes, not the intentions. Slips, dreams, accidents reveal hidden agendas. The pattern is the diagnosis. He developed free association as a technique. Let the patient talk without censoring, without planning what to say next. Just speak and watch what happens. See what topics they avoid. Notice when they get stuck, when the words dry up. Resistance appears at significant points. The places you can't go are where the answers live. Pattern recognition becomes diagnostic. Same sabotage, same triggers, same timing. Not random, symptomatic, like a fever pointing to infection. The behavior points to the unconscious conflict underneath. Take the interview sabotage pattern from the opening. Always oversleep or fall sick, or pick a fight the night before. The conscious mind is baffled. Why do I keep doing this? But the pattern reveals the unconscious is preventing you from reaching the moment of judgment, the moment of evaluation. Probably there's a deep belief you'll be exposed as a fraud. Imposter syndrome has unconscious roots. Freud's patient Ida Bauer, he called her Dora in the case study, published 1905, abruptly quit therapy just as they were making progress. Freud realized her quitting was the symptom. She was acting out the same pattern of abandonment in therapy itself. She was treating Freud like the original figure who had betrayed her. He called it transference, redirecting feelings from the past onto the present relationship. The method became clear. Sabotage isn't the enemy. It's communication, an encrypted message from the unconscious. Learn to decode it. But there's another layer. Unconscious guilt. Not guilt for what you did. guilt for what you wish. Freud claimed the superego is punishing, often irrational. It absorbed parental prohibitions, cultural prohibitions, prohibitions against success, against happiness, against surpassing your parents, against having what others don't have. The mechanism? An unconscious wish triggers guilt. The guilt demands punishment. Self-sabotage is the punishment. If I succeed, I'm betraying someone. Survivor guilt operates this way. My siblings struggled with addiction, so I shouldn't thrive. My success would be a betrayal. Or, my mother sacrificed everything for us. I don't deserve happiness she never had. The unconscious equation, my success equals their suffering, Freud observed. What he called the negative therapeutic reaction. Some patients got worse when they started improving. The therapy was working, symptoms were lifting, and suddenly the patient would relapse, sometimes worse than before. Why? Because the unconscious felt, I don't deserve to get better. The guilt was too deep. Here's the surprise. You're not sabotaging success. You're sabotaging guilt. Staying small is the penance you pay for forbidden wishes you're not even aware you're having. Beyond defense, there's something even stranger. Repetition compulsion. People don't just avoid their traumas. They recreate them. Freud observed, people who experience bad relationships often chose similar partners again, not once but repeatedly, not masochism, not bad luck, an unconscious attempt at mastery, the logic, this time I'll get it right, this time I'll make it work. The unconscious is trying to resolve the original trauma by recreating it and winning this time, but usually it just repeats the pain. A person with a critical, withholding parent seeks out a critical withholding boss or romantic partner. Unconsciously, if I can make this person approve of me, I'll finally be worthy. I'll resolve the original wound. But they chose someone who can't approve. That's why they chose them. The sabotage is ensuring the familiar outcome, the pain you know. In 1920, Freud published Beyond the Pleasure Principle, a late insight controversial even now. His claim, not all behavior seeks pleasure. Some behavior seeks to repeat pain. He called it the death drive, the pull toward destruction, toward returning to an earlier state. Clinically observable, whatever the theory behind it. People are drawn to their wounds. You don't just avoid success, you orchestrate a specific kind of failure, the kind you know. Known pain feels safer than unknown joy. Return to the opening question, why do you sabotage yourself? Now the deeper answer becomes clear. You're protecting the child self from an imagined catastrophe, and you're punishing the adult self for forbidden wishes, and you're trying to master old trauma through repetition. All of this unconscious, all of it simultaneous. The architecture, your mind is not a unified command center. It's a negotiation between competing systems. The conscious you wants success. The unconscious you fears it, forbids it, or needs to repeat the failure. Sabotage is the compromise. Why does it feel automatic? Because it is automatic. The unconscious moves faster than consciousness. By the time you decide to oversleep, the unconscious already acted. Like reaching for your phone when you're anxious, there's no deliberation, no conscious choice. The impulse arrives pre-formed. This isn't just theory, it's therapeutic intervention. When patients make the unconscious conscious, when they see the hidden pattern, understand the childhood conclusion, recognize the repetition, the patterns shift. Not always. Some conflicts are too deep, too structural, but many times awareness breaks the automaticity. Once you see the saboteur, it loses some power. Not all its power, but some. The implication touches free will. If the unconscious runs the show, are you choosing anything? Freud's answer, limited freedom, but some. Awareness expands the margin. Actually, it's more accurate to say, you have choice, but most people don't use it because they don't know the unconscious exists. Started with the question, why sabotage what you want? Because a deeper part of you wants something else. Safety, punishment, repetition, and that part is older, faster, stronger. You're not weak, you're divided. Sabotage isn't a failure of will, it's a clash of systems, each with its own logic, its own imperatives. The unconscious isn't your enemy. It's trying to protect the child you were using the only data it has. Childhood conclusions about danger, about worthiness, about how the world works, but it's using outdated information. The danger it's protecting you from may not exist anymore, or never existed at all outside a child's interpretation. So how do you stop it? Can you negotiate with your unconscious? That's what psychoanalysis claims to do, make the unconscious conscious. Bring the hidden patterns into awareness. Does it work? Sometimes, not always. The unconscious doesn't give up its secrets easily. It's been running your life for decades. It has reasons, even if they're no longer valid, but that's a different question. How to change the pattern? Not just understand it. I'll stop here, but now when you sabotage yourself next time, and you probably will, at least once more, you'll know. It's not you failing. It's you fighting yourself. One part trying to move forward, another part trying to keep you safe using rules written when you were 6 years old. And maybe knowing that changes the fight. Maybe awareness is the first move toward integration, toward getting the systems to update their information. Or maybe not. The unconscious is stubborn, but at least you'll know what you're up against.